Alright boys, today I'm going to be showing you how to build the ultimate mini toolbox speaker. I'm going to show you how to take your boring mini toolbox and transform it into an absolute unit of a portable speaker. Everything I use in this video is going to be linked in the description below, along with different options. For instance, different types of speakers themselves, different batteries. I went with the biggest and best for what I could do on my setup. So if you're interested in learning how to build it, keep watching. Starting with the toolbox, I got this mini toolbox from Harbor Freight. Personally, I like the Harbor Freight toolboxes the best because they have a variety of different colors you can get. I opted for the slate gray. As for the speakers, I went with the Kicker 200 watt speakers. These speakers are definitely overkill, but I wanted to make sure that I could get the biggest and loudest speakers that I could fit in the toolbox to really pack a punch. This is going to be the around Bluetooth amp. This is essentially the brains of the entire operation. This amp is going to be able to handle a 12 volt along with a 24 volt. This essentially makes everything operate, so it's important to get a good one. I have seen a ton of people use 12 volt batteries for these toolboxes, and a 12 volt will work just fine. Since I'm going for the ultimate mini toolbox speaker, I opted to get the big 24 volt battery. Like I mentioned, I want this mini toolbox speaker to really stand out. The way to do so is to add some lighting. These are going to be the LED light strips that I'm going to be using for the mini toolbox. I originally got the kit that only comes with one LED light. I later upgraded to the kit that comes with two LED lights, so that way I'm able to add even more light. Both of the light kits are going to be linked in the description as well. This isn't entirely necessary, but definitely helps. This is a voltage reader. It's going to help us see how much battery we have. Not necessary, but aesthetically, it's a nice touch and it provides a purpose. Finally, we have the power switch. There's a bunch of different power switches you can go with. You can go with a simple on and off rocker switch, but I wanted to go all out and make sure that I get a power switch that has an LED ring around it. This is definitely going to be a nicer touch than just a simple on and off rocker switch. Of course, you have to get a fuse to make sure that there is some protection going on, and this one isn't entirely necessary, but I also got some dynamite. Start by removing the drawers. These Harbor Freight toolboxes have a quick release mechanism on the sides that you can just pull down and the drawer comes out super simple. Same thing with the bottom drawer. Another reason why the Harbor Freight ones are great. Here, I'm just placing the speakers on the top to see how they're going to look. I'm measuring to find the halfway point because depending on the speaker and the speaker size, it's always going to be different. I got this hole saw from Harbor Freight to make a nice clean hole, but unfortunately, I only read it after I got home that this hole saw is made for wood and not metal. So I didn't really have much luck with it. I kind of just made a template of what I need to cut out, and then I used some metal shears and started snipping away. Here, I'm just trimming the Dynamat to make sure that it fits the toolbox. I got a stick-on Dynamat, so that way I was just able to stick it right on, cut out the holes for the speaker, and it just sits right there. I tried putting the plastic covers on the speakers, but obviously the speakers were way too big and there is no way we can fit that. So we're just going to leave the speakers out in the open. Here, I'm just trimming the mat itself to make sure that the speakers can go through it. You definitely want to measure twice and cut once because this is going to be shown whenever you open up the toolbox. You can always replace it with a different mat, like something that's like faux fur or something like that. It would definitely look cool. I just used the mat that the toolbox came with. Like I said, make sure you measure twice, cut once. I wanted to make sure that I don't cut too much because if you do cut too much, it's definitely going to show. Now that we have the speakers fit in and everything is good to go, I'm going to start laying down some double-sided tape so that way the mat could really stick down. The reason I'm putting the double-sided tape down is to make sure that the mat doesn't raise up once we screw in the speakers. Now we can line up the speakers, drill some self-tappers through, and try avoiding doing this multiple times because the more times you screw it in and out, the looser it's going to get. Obviously, now the speakers are so large that the top drawer is no longer going to fit, so we're going to have to trim that up. Because I went with some bigger speakers, this top drawer is going to be entirely useless. we can now start fitting everything into the bottom drawer. The bottom drawer is essentially just going to stay how it is because it's going to hold everything. The amp I'm using has adjustments on the face of it, so I'm drilling holes through the front of the drawer to make sure that the amp adjustments can stick out of the drawer and we can adjust everything without having to open up the drawer. Also, I think it's aesthetically pleasing to have the amp adjustments out of the drawer. You can definitely just hide away the adjustments behind the drawer if you want to. This amp does have little nuts in front of it, so that way you can put it through something and it holds itself up. On the back of the amp, we have the wires that go to each speaker, and then we have the power wire. There's also an aux port, but I'm just going to be using the Bluetooth with the speaker. Now with the amp all fitted up, we can now move on to fitting the battery. Like I said, I went with the 24 volt battery, so it is a bit larger than the typical 12 volt that everyone uses. We just have to find a nice place to fit it, making sure that it doesn't get in the way of anything and making sure that it clears the speakers themselves. I also want to be attentive at the way I position this battery because I want the charging cord to be somewhere convenient. The charging cord that comes with the battery just wasn't long enough, so I extended it myself. I wanted the charging port to be on the back of the toolbox so that way you don't see it. Now I'm going to start drilling a hole for the voltage meter along with the power button. The voltage meter I'm using has a nut on the back side of it, so it's very easy to mount it up, and same thing with the power button. Depending on the power button you use, there's going to be different wiring diagrams. I read my diagram, found the power and ground along with the wire for the LED when the power is on, and wired everything up to the battery accordingly. Along with that, we're going to be wiring up the voltage meter with the amp, so that way the amp gets power and you can't forget about the fuse as well. Personally, I like to solder everything, but you can definitely just use some sort of crimps or butt connectors. It'll work just fine. With everything wired up, we can now plug everything in just to make sure that everything is working. I quickly powered it on just to make sure that we were getting power. Looks like we're good to go, so I turned it right back off. Now comes the fun part where we wire up the lighting. Like I said, I just got some little cheap kit on Amazon. The kit that I originally got was only a one-piece kit and it was only able to light up the bottom. Turns out that it was a little bit defective. You can see that the light is spazzing out a little bit, so I ended up getting another kit, but this time the kit that I got came with two separate light pieces. I tried to organize the wires the best I could, making sure that it has enough slack so that way we're able to pull back and forth the drawer without causing any problems. This is pretty much how it looks before we put the toolbox back together, and now when we turn it on, it looks like this.
I know what I need, ice cold bitch when I'm sipping my tea. You know the way, I'm on way. Baby, know I'm different, hit my text when you downstairs. That your money won't reach, that she moves so sexually.